Hi guys, let's walk through how to make these super yummy Huckleberry Carnival buns. So to start out, and I usually do this the night before, you're going to want to make a custard and the jam. Or you can make your jam a week ahead, or if you don't want to make the jam, you can use store-bought jam as well. Also, bear in mind, if you live in an area that doesn't have huckleberries or doesn't sell huckleberry jam, you can absolutely replace this with raspberries, blueberries, anything you want. Not the same jam recipe, obviously, but you can fill these buns with any flavor of berry that you like. So you're going to start off by mixing all your ingredients together for the custard and then sticking that over a medium heat on the stove until it has thickened, and then add your butter and vanilla. Stir it all together, then transfer it to a container and it will be set by morning. Mine already looks set and is much thicker than the average custard that I normally use because I didn't realize that I actually ran out of cornstarch, so I used flour as a replacement and it did the job, but it was a little more like pudding consistency than custard is a little bit thinner, but it doesn't matter, it's just as good. Next, I start making the jam. You're just going to mix all your ingredients together and do the same thing. Place that over a medium heat on the stove until it is boiling. Let it go for about 10 minutes or until the jam has set. Make sure you always use a jam spoon because it does get stained. That's what I call it, my jam spoon, because I use it for nothing other than making jams. Otherwise, you will go ahead and stain a perfectly good wooden spoon. One way to test if your jam is set is to spoon a little bit of it on a plate and put it in the freezer, and if you push it and it crinkles, it's done. Like I said, I do all of that the day before. That way, when I'm ready to bake the next day, I can just pull it all out of the fridge and it's done. So on bake day, you're going to go ahead and mix up all your ingredients for your dough. For this particular dough, you really don't need to do it in any order, except for make sure you always test your yeast by putting a little bit of it in water. Leave it sit for 5 to 10 minutes to get foamy and you'll know your yeast is active. You'll mix your dough until it is smooth and not sticking to the sides of the bowl. You want to make sure it is soft and supple, and it should not stick to your fingers either. Place that back in the same bowl or a different bowl and let it rise for 1 hour, give or take depending on the temperature of your house, but until it's doubled in size. Then you'll punch it down and cut it into 8 even pieces, or 6 or 10, really honestly whatever size you want. Then you'll form little balls one at a time by forming the dough downwards and rolling them in between your hands, such as you can see that I'm doing here. Might take some practice for you to get this, but if you can't do it, just roll them in between both hands and it'll be just fine. They don't need to be pretty. Cover them again and let rise for 1 more hour until they are doubled in size. Next, you're going to make little wells in each ball. I just use a spice jar. You can use whatever you have laying around, like a measuring cup. Once you're done making the little divots in your buns, you're going to go ahead and mix up some egg wash and then brush that over your buns. Then fill up a piping bag with your custard, or you can use a Ziploc bag, or you can just spoon it in there also if you don't have any of those things. Once you're ready to spoon your jam on top, you can leave it with the chunks of berries in it, or you can blend it like I do to make it perfectly smooth. I've done it both ways and it's delicious either way, so it's just your preference. Then these are ready to go in the oven at 390 for about 12 to 18 minutes, give or take, just until they're golden brown. They're going to look like this. Then you're going to set them on a wire rack or just anywhere to cool off so they're not super hot to the touch. And while they're cooling, you'll mix up some jam icing. I use a royal icing here without the meringue powder, which means it calls for just a tad bit of corn syrup, but you do not have to do that. You can literally just use regular royal icing, or you can just use regular icing in general. It doesn't have to be royal. Once those are all iced up, then you're going to spoon some fresh or frozen huckleberries, either way, over the top. Just make sure they're thawed if they're frozen. And then if this isn't already enough sugar for you, I sprinkle a little bit of powdered sugar on top. Totally optional. You can leave that part out if you want, but that's it, you guys. And then they look like this. They're ready to go. You can put them on a little tray to serve. I dropped mine, not once, but I literally dropped it twice, as you'll see here in a second. But yeah, that concludes. You're ready to enjoy your yummy, delicious carnival buns. I hope you guys enjoy them as much as we do, and if you did, let us know, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.